Today I'm making a cheesecake pumpkin roll. This dessert will get you rave reviews at the Thanksgiving Day table. Hello, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Anne, and if you're returning, welcome back. Come on along and I will show you some tricks to making this delicious dessert, a cheesecake pumpkin roll. Let's get started with the dry ingredients for our cheesecake pumpkin roll. So starting out, we're gonna have 3/4 cup of flour, and we need to fluff our flour. And then I like to scoop it into my measuring piece, and then so that I don't overpack it. I don't get too much flour. So we need 3/4 cup. So I did a 1/4, and then I'll do a half. Okay, and there we go, 3/4 cup of flour. And to that, we are going to add where's my ginger? 1 teaspoon of ginger. And to the ginger, we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. I love cinnamon. I think this is why I love fall baking, because I love the smell of cinnamon. And ginger and nutmeg. And to that, we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, all these together, I just love it, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna mix these around, and we're gonna set them aside. Now we're gonna do our wet ingredients. So for the wet ingredients, we have 1 cup of sugar, and to that, we're going to add 2/3 cup of canned pumpkin, 3 eggs, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. This is not Patron. This is what I make my homemade vanilla in. And oh my gosh, it's wonderful. I've had this for about 2 years. I add to it all the time. 1, 2. I keep fresh vanilla beans in there and keep adding vodka to it to make homemade vanilla. I'm gonna mix the wet ingredients up with the hand mixer, so they're well incorporated. And to the wet ingredients, we're gonna fold in our dry ingredients. Do a little bit at a time. Oh, and the smell. The cinnamon with that pumpkin and the nutmeg, oh my gosh. You can make this a day ahead of time, or 2. Wrap it up, keep it in your refrigerator. And in folding in, I'm just rolling it over. I come under and I go over. Come under and go over to fold it in. And I don't want to overwork it. Okay, it looks good. Here's the trick to making a really good pumpkin roll. It needs to bake on a 10 by 15 jelly roll pan. So measure it 10 by 15 jelly roll pan. It's called a jelly roll pan, but this do biscuits on it. It's a cookie sheet to me. So this is a 10 by 15 pan, and we want to do parchment paper, so that way it's easier to pull off after it's baked. It's only going to bake for 15 minutes, but this parchment paper doesn't want to always sit easy on here, and we want to grease our parchment paper. I'm going to grease it with butter, and then I'm going to flour it. But to get this parchment paper really to kind of get in there and get in the grooves and the fit, here's a trick. If you crunch up your parchment paper, you can get it to easily fit a little bit of lip, so that way you can pull it out on all your sides. really wants to sit down in there a lot better. I'm just going to take a paper towel, take some butter all over my parchment paper. So this is the trick. This is one of the big tricks. Make sure you have a nice greased piece of parchment paper, and make sure you use parchment paper, not wax paper. Let me repeat that. Do not use wax paper. It won't work. You're gonna have a mess. Wax paper is not for baking. Parchment paper is. And I am also going to, I'm gonna come down my sides. I'm gonna try this. Let's see if this will work. To get it to stay, I'm going to lightly all over the parchment paper. Shake it around to get a nice coverage. It has just the slightest of coating from the flour across the paper. Okay. And I'm going to easily put it back, do it down at this end, and into the garbage can it goes. All my excess goes off in the garbage can. Okay, cool. Now, I'm going to fit down here in my pan. Remember, I did a little bit of butter in that pan, and that's working to get it to stay down in the pan so that my batter, okay. Got a little extra flour on here that I want to get off. There we go. All right. Okay. In the pan it goes. Let's pour in our batter. This smells wonderful. Get it into all the corners so that we have a nice even consistency across the pan. Okay, so now we'll bake this at 350 degrees for 15 minutes. Normally a pumpkin roll has a cream cheese filling, but today we're going to do a cheesecake filling, and this is where it takes this pumpkin roll up a notch. It's easy. In this bowl I have 3 8-ounce bars of cream cheese that have been sitting out so they're at room temperature. And to that, I'm going to add 3/4 cup of sugar. And 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. We're going to take our hand mixer and we are going to add the eggs one at a time. I'm going to mix this until all the eggs are combined and that there's no true lumps of cream cheese. All right. This goes in a 9x13 pan, and this will bake at 325 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes. And at the point of 25 minutes, we'll look at it and see if the center, it's usually the center on the cheesecakes. If they're still jiggly, then it'll be a little bit longer. But we'll check it and I'll do it on video. Here's the real test for the recipe. It's kind of the nerve-wracking part of it, where you have to flip this over onto a clean tea towel. Now, this is a cotton tea towel. They're really thin. If you have the, let's see. If you have one of these thicker towels, you could use this, but it's best if you use a cotton tea towel. So what I'm going to do for this tea towel is I am going to shake powdered sugar all over this tea towel, and that will help keeping this from sticking to the tea towel. Now I keep powdered sugar in this little, it's a Pampered Chef shaker. I keep powdered sugar in here all the time. But for this recipe, whatever little bit of powdered sugar was left, I dumped it out and put fresh powdered sugar in there so that I know I didn't have a bunch of clumpy powdered sugar, that I wanted an even shake all over this tea towel. So that I made sure that this is going to roll out perfect. Okay, here's the test. All right, so I'm going to pull using the parchment paper. That was the important piece of parchment paper, not wax paper, but parchment paper. And I'm going to roll this, and I'm going to flip it over onto the tea towel. Perfect, it didn't break. Oh, this is good. This is good. Okay, so this is still warm. I let it sit in the pan for a little bit before I came to this piece. I'm going to, and this is the crinkly part. So the smoother part is on the outside, and that is what's going to be on the outside of your roll and will look really pretty for presentation. I'm going to do a little sprinkle of powdered sugar. Now, here's the rolling part. And you want to do it when it's warm. Don't let it dry, but let's do it when it's warm. So we're going to roll it up in your tea towel. Just keep on rolling, don't stop. Pull it forward, and there we go. And there we go, is our rolled pumpkin roll, all rolled up in the tea towel. Now, we want to let this cool in this, and once it cools, we'll be able to unroll it, put the cheesecake in there, and then we're going to roll it back up and we'll have our pumpkin roll. For the sake of the video, and instead of letting it sit for at room temperature to cool down, I'm experimenting, and I put it in the refrigerator for about an hour, and let's see how this worked out. So I will unroll. Let me get it this way. It's cooled down, and there we go. Okay, still unrolled. Now I'm going to take the cheesecake, and this hasn't set up, so it's still warm, out of the oven. Just gonna fill the pumpkin roll with the cheesecake. And unfortunately, I will not be able to cut this and taste it tonight. I'm definitely gonna have to let this, it has to sit in the refrigerator. Best if it sits overnight, to let the cheesecake set up in the pumpkin roll, because cheesecake sets up when it's cooled. When I slice this, I will slice off the ends to make it look pretty, and I will show you all of that for the presentation part of it in the last half of the video tomorrow. I don't want to get it too thick because I don't want to break it, and I want it to roll back up. Here we go. This time we're going to leave the towel down, and we're just going to roll the pumpkin roll. I'm going to gently pull the towel away from the pumpkin roll as I roll it. There we go. Okay. So my little cheesecake's falling out, which is okay, because we're gonna slice these ends to make it pretty for presentation purposes. Now, here's the kicker. Got the towel away from it. Now, there we go. I'm deciding not to leave it on this tray. I'm going to leave it on the parchment paper, which will be fine, in the refrigerator. That way I can wrap it up. So I will show you the finished product tomorrow. And for now, I'm going to use another clean tea towel, and set this over it in the refrigerator so that it can all set up and cool. So last night I made the cheesecake pumpkin roll, and it's been in the refrigerator for 24 hours. And now I'm going to plate it and try it. So slide this off of the it's a little heavy. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to take a serrated knife and I'm going to cut the ends to make it look pretty. Oh my gosh, look at that. Look at that slice. Oh my gosh, that looks so pretty. Oh my goodness. Your family is going to love this. Family and friends are going to love this. And this end as well. Oh, I'm just going to take one of these. I'll put these over on the plate. Slide this up here for presentation and add a little powdered sugar. Oh, well, it would help if I take the lid off. Add a little powdered sugar to the top. Oh my goodness, look at that. Look how pretty. So, cheesecake pumpkin roll. That looks wonderful. It smells delicious. So now I'm gonna try the little piece that I had cut off here. And you want to store this in the refrigerator. So good. The cake is really moist. The cheesecake is not too sweet. It's not overpowering, but oh my gosh, all that cinnamon and the nutmeg, it tastes delicious. I love it. Cheesecake pumpkin roll. If you make this, I think it's going to be the hit dessert for Thanksgiving dinner. Thank you for clicking on my channel. I'm Ann with Take It Up a Notch Ann. Please like and subscribe if you will. Thanks and have a wonderful day.